Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Norfolk Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Monday Night Raw tonight, as always, this show was absolutely abysmal, absolutely atrocious, god-awful. What do we get on Monday Night Raw tonight? We had Bobby Lashley versus Omos in a steel cage match, which was made official last week. And the only reason why we got a steel cage match out of this is because NBC Universal went to WWE and they were probably like, Fox got their steel cage match on SmackDown with Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. Where's our steel cage match, WWE? So WWE granted NBC Universal with their request on having a steel cage match. And so we got Bobby Lashley versus Omos inside the steel cage, which Bobby Lashley and Omos, this feud needs to fucking end. This has been an absolutely boring feud between them two. We have Veer Mahaan in action. Veer Mahaan ended up taking on Mustafa Ali. So WWE, once again, they are just punishing Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali needs to walk out of this company. He really does. I don't see how he continues to agree with getting buried every single week. You know, Vince asks him, do you want to take on Veer Mahaan tonight? And then Mustafa Ali would go, yeah, let me get buried tonight, Vince. He needs to walk out. Mustafa Ali needs to walk out of WWE. And speaking of a walkout, I will get to that in a few, because there was the big news that came out of Monday Night Raw tonight, which I'll get to. We have Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. Why do we get this on the show tonight when we're going to see RK Bro and the Usos go at it this Friday in a winner-take-all match to unify the tag team titles, which you know is going to end in the fuck finish. So it's going to end in the fuck finish on Friday, and we're going to get the same match at Hell in a Cell, but it's going to take place inside Hell in a Cell. That's where I see WWE taking this. So we're possibly going to get the unification match, winner-take-all match to unify the tag team titles at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell with RK Bro and the Usos. We have Finn Balor and AJ Styles versus Los Lotharios, Angel Garza, and Humberto Carrillo. Once again, we had Alexa Bliss versus Sonya Deville. We saw this last week. We had Ezekiel versus Chad Gable. And in the main event, we had Asuka versus Becky Lynch. The winner gets to be the number one contender to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. So that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Overall, this show was absolutely abysmal. Absolutely atrocious. But before I get into the review, like I said, big news came out of Monday Night Raw tonight with a walkout. A superstar walked out of Monday Night Raw tonight, and that superstar that walked out was Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks and also her tag team partner Naomi walked out because of creative differences. So this is coming from WrestlingInc.com. WWE issued this statement on Sasha and Naomi leaving Raw. So it was supposed to be a six-pack challenge. That was supposed to be the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. So it was originally supposed to be a six-pack challenge to determine who would face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, be the number one contender. So it was supposed to be Sasha and Naomi versus Asuka, Becky Lynch, Doudrop, and Nikki ASH. So the match didn't happen because Sasha, of course, walked out and Naomi did. So PW Insider reported that Sasha apparently took issue with certain creative ideas pitched for the show tonight. Sasha requested a meeting with Vince, which she was granted. But when Vince wouldn't budge on his own creative vision, Sasha took it upon herself to leave the arena. And also Naomi followed along with her. So, it says right here, this is especially peculiar, considering that Naomi was actually booked to win the six-pack challenge. I heard that Naomi was supposed to pin Sasha and win the six-pack challenge. So Naomi was originally going to be Bianca's number one contender for the Royal Women's Championship at Hell in a Cell. But of course, this wasn't the first time that Vince and Sasha have disagreed about how things want to go and creative. So there is an update. So WWE ended up saying that Sasha and Naomi relinquished the women's tag team titles. They said that they aren't respected as a tag team and claimed they felt unsafe inside the ring with certain opponents, which I think they were talking about Doudrop and Nikki, which I find that completely bullshit, how they said, oh, they felt unsafe when we saw them in the ring last week. We saw Sasha and Naomi take on Doudrop and Nikki ASH last week. So don't give me that bullshit saying, oh, they felt unsafe. So this is the issue that WWE put out, the statement. So it says right here, when Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relation John Laurinaitis' office, people power, with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship belts on his desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents. Bullshit. Even though they had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. So, and then also on commentary later on in the night, Corey Graves even said, oh, Sasha and Naomi unprofessionally left the arena. On commentary, he said that. So you could tell that Vince was in Corey Graves' ear, and Vince told Corey Graves to say that live on the air. But I'm not the hugest Sasha fan, but I gotta say, good on her for walking out. Good on her. She's the one that stepped up to Vince and said, you know what? I'm not letting this happen. I'm not having my tag team partner pin me and win the match and be the number one contender to face Bianca Belair for the Royal Women's Championship. Good on Sasha. Good. So there you go. Sasha and Naomi walked out of Monday Night Raw tonight. The big news coming out of Monday Night Raw tonight. So, but when Sasha and Naomi come back, I already know that WWE, Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, are going to book Sasha and Naomi to lose matches. They're going to punish them after this happened. It's coming. If they come back, it is coming. So that's news that came out. But like I said, good on Sasha. And also, we can't forget Naomi So good on them for walking out of the show tonight. But anyways, let's get on with the review. The show was a sellout tonight. The Norfolk Scope Arena was sold out for Monday Night Raw tonight. And the show was sold out, and WWE still managed to give the folks there in Norfolk, Virginia, a abysmal, god-awful show. And we didn't get news of what else we were going to see on the show tonight until 7:50. 7:50 came out, and already they posted what we're going to see on the show tonight. And you could tell right there that the show was still being written at that time. But Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Omos versus Bobby Lashley in a steel cage match. And the reason why we got the steel cage match, I said it earlier, NBC Universal went to WWE, and they were like, oh, well, Fox on SmackDown got their steel cage match in Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. Why don't we do a steel cage match on Raw? So WWE granted NBC Universal's wishes, and so we got a steel cage match tonight on Monday Night Raw with Omos and Bobby Lashley. So Omos and MVP, they ended up coming out, and then Bobby Lashley came out. Cedric Alexander attacked Bobby Lashley as Lashley was still making his entrance. Omos and MVP were in the ring, but they ended up coming out of the ring. They ended up joining in on attacking Bobby Lashley along with Cedric Alexander. So the referees were separating everyone out there. Lashley ended up stepping into the cage. Omos and MVP were still, on the outside. Lashley ended up urging Omos to get in the steel cage as Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, the steel cage match got started. Omos ended up taking control of Bobby Lashley. He knocked Lashley down, started choking Lashley on the bottom rope. MVP did a cheap shot. He did a sneak attack while the referee wasn't looking. So MVP ended up pinning Lashley with his cane from outside of the cage. So Lashley ended up getting the reversal and climbed onto Omos's back. Omos powered out, and Lashley ended up pushing Omos into the corner. Lashley ended up charging into a chokehold by Omos. Omos ended up posing for the crowd, while MVP was getting in another cheap shot to Bobby Lashley on the outside of the cage. Omos ended up lifting Lashley on the shoulder and ended up dropping him onto the top turnbuckle. Omos followed with a big boot. So Omos ended up throwing Lashley into the corner and delivered a running splash. Omos then ended up hitting a running back elbow to Lashley. So we had Lashley was set up for the hurt lock. He ended up getting both arms secured on Omos, but Omos backed Lashley into the corner and broke up the hurt lock. Omos charged into a pair of boots by Lashley. Lashley climbed the cage from the corner. Omos then ended up grabbing Lashley by the throat. Lashley fought off Omos. So Omos tumbled away, and Cedric Alexander climbed the cage. Cedric Alexander was on top of the corner of the cage. Lashley ended up throwing Cedric Alexander into the ring from the top of the cage. Lashley ended up going for a crossbody from the top rope, but he got caught by Omos. Omos ended up throwing Lashley into the side of the cage, so Lashley was down. Omos lifted up Lashley. Lashley started firing up with some punches to Omos. Lashley ended up coming off the ropes, ran into a big boot from Omos. So at the end of the match, we had Omos end up grabbing Lashley by the head. He had a claw hold on Lashley. He lifted Lashley up into a fireman's carry. Omos ended up going to slam Lashley into the side of the cage, but the panel of the cage gave away, so Lashley ended up landing on the floor, and the referee ended up clarifying to the ring announcer that Lashley's feet touched the floor first. So Bobby Lashley ended up winning the cage match because of that. Easily this match could have went to a draw if both guys got their feet touched on the floor. So Bobby Lashley won the match. Overall, this match was terrible. The match was boring. And it looks like we're possibly going to get another match between these two. God, can we end this feud, please? I don't want to see another match between these two. Omos, he is absolutely terrible in the ring. We all know that. Why do we need to see another Omos and Bobby Lashley match? And we all know that's probably going to come at Hell in a Cell. Are we going to get a Hell in a Cell match between Lashley and Omos? Maybe. God, I don't want to see another fucking match between these two. So then we had Austin Theory. Austin Theory ended up making his way out. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Mustafa Ali ended up making his way out. So Theory ended up stepping out of the ring. And he grabbed the mic. Theory ended up saying that he just can't do this match unless he knows there's a referee he can trust. So he introduced The Miz as the special guest referee. So The Miz, once again, was the special guest referee. God help us all. So Miz was set to ring the bell. Austin Theory ended up having the mic in hand still. He ended up saying that it doesn't seem fair for Mustafa Ali to have a match against him. Theory ended up saying that he set up a match to prove that Mustafa Ali is championship material. So Theory ended up introducing Veer Mahaan as Mustafa Ali's opponent. So we got Veer Mahaan versus Mustafa Ali, squash match. So yeah, Mustafa Ali ended up attacking Veer Mahaan with some drop kicks, but he ended up running right into a flying body tackle by Veer Mahaan. Mahaan threw Ali into the corner. Ali came back, started fighting away with some punches to Veer Mahaan, but Miz ended up forcing him to back off. He forced Mustafa Ali to back off. Veer Mahaan came out of the corner, delivered a big boot to Mustafa Ali, which took Ali down. Veer Mahaan stomped on Mustafa Ali and ended up dropping an elbow. He ended up lifting Ali by the throat, pressed him over his head. Ali ended up escaping, and he ended up hitting a pair of super kicks to Veer Mahaan. Ali ended up going off the ropes. Theory ended up grabbing Ali's foot from the outside. So Veer Mahaan ended up charging at Ali, but he ended up missing Ali and tumbled out to the floor. Ali ended up going for a dive. Miz got into Ali's way while he was administering his count on Veer Mahaan on the outside. So Veer Mahaan ended up taking down Mustafa Ali and locked in the cervical clutch. Mustafa Ali ended up tapping out, and there you go. Veer Mahaan ended up winning the match. Post-match, Austin Theory ended up convincing Veer Mahaan to put Mustafa Ali back in the cervical clutch so him and Miz can take a selfie. So Miz and Theory ended up suggesting to Veer Mahaan that he should do some more damage to Mustafa Ali. Veer Mahaan ended up going to the outside to take apart the commentary table, and then Rey and Dominik end up making their way out. Rey and Dominik end up returning tonight. So they end up running off Miz and Theory, and both Rey and Dominik end up hitting a pair of dives from the ring out to the floor on Veer Mahaan, and pretty much that was basically that. Well, Mustafa Ali still continues to get buried on WWE television. So next week, who do you all think is going to bury Mustafa Ali? Mustafa Ali, this is another guy that needs to walk out of the company. He really does. I don't see how he could agree to go out there every single week and just job and get buried. Guy needs to walk out. Seriously. Or he's going to be the next guy on the next set of releases. So then we went backstage. Becky Lynch was telling Adam Pearce she saw Sasha and Naomi leave the arena. Becky Lynch ended up saying that she should just be named the #1 contender and take the rest of the night off. Adam Pearce ended up telling Becky Lynch that they still need a main event. And it'll be Asuka versus her, Becky Lynch, to determine the #1 contender to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at Hell in a Cell. So, there you go. That was the main event. So then we had Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. And we've seen these guys go at it before. Randy Orton was not here tonight. So the match itself, it was an okay match. Jay provided an outside distraction, which gave Jimmy an early advantage on Riddle in the match. Jimmy ended up whipping Riddle across the ring. And Riddle then ended up hitting a gut-wrench suplex on Jimmy. Jimmy ended up retaking control of the match, but Riddle caught him in a triangle and pulled him over the top rope out to the floor. Riddle ended up trying to go for his running kick. Jey Uso got in the way, ended up taking the kick by Riddle. So Jimmy ended up hitting a dive on Riddle to the floor. Riddle then ended up getting sent into the ring steps by Jimmy. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Riddle was taking out Jimmy Uso. Jimmy ended up stopping Riddle's momentum with a kick to the back of Riddle's head. Jimmy ended up hitting his running hip attack into the corner on Riddle. He ended up going for the cover, to which Riddle kicked out too. Jimmy ended up grounding Riddle with a chin lock, and Riddle ended up fighting up, and he hit a overhead kick to Jimmy. So Riddle ended up hitting a pair of running elbows into the corner to Jimmy, and he delivered a overhead suplex. Riddle then ended up going for a senton, and Jimmy ended up getting his knees up. Both Riddle and Jimmy were trading strikes from their knees in the middle of the ring. Riddle ended up coming off the ropes, and Jimmy ended up hitting a Samoan drop on Riddle, and Jimmy ended up going for the cover, to which Riddle kicked out too. Jimmy ended up going up to the top rope. Riddle popped up. He ran up the corner and grabbed Jimmy for an RKO. Jimmy ended up fighting Riddle off with a headbutt. Jimmy ended up going for a splash, but Riddle got his knees up. So Jimmy ended up running into a back elbow from Riddle, to which Riddle then climbed up the top rope. Jay pushed Riddle off the top rope and down to the floor. Jimmy ended up trying to get a roll-up on Riddle, and Jay ended up assisting from the floor, to which Jay got both his feet on the back of Jimmy, and the referee ended up catching Jay, and the referee ejected Jay from ringside, and so Jimmy was like, distracted, like, oh, can't believe the referee ejected Jay. So that was when Riddle caught Jimmy in a small package. So there you go. Riddle ended up winning the match. Overall, match was okay. So Riddle ended up fleeing from the ring before Jay could come back in. So that was that. Overall, okay match. So then we saw Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick interviewed Liv Morgan earlier in the day, and Los Lotharios ended up interrupting. Los Lotharios ended up trying to invite Liv Morgan to the Kiss Cam, and Styles and Finn Balor showed up. Styles and Balor ended up telling Los Lotharios to get lost. Balor ended up saying that the three of them need to work together before the Judgment Day picks them off one by one. So Styles and Balor, they end up wanting Liv Morgan to be in their corner for the match with Los Lotharios. And Liv Morgan ends up saying, "Oh, I'll think about it." And so that was basically that. And then we went to the Judgment Day backstage. Damian Priest, Edge, and Rhea Ripley. Damian Priest ended up saying that he wants to know if we're getting it yet. He wants to say that we clearly aren't, because we aren't showing respect to them. And anyone who steps up to Judgment Day will face nothing but punishment. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that they are done being what everyone wants them to be. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that it's time for complete and utter eradication. And Edge ended up saying that he refers to them as his saints of fate. He ended up saying people should stop being sheep and join them. He went on to say that his arms are wide open to any superstar who wants to join them. So Edge ended up pitching Styles on joining them. He ended up saying that they can put the past behind them and start working together. He ended up saying that Liv Morgan and Balor can join too, if they want. So that was what the Judgment Day had to say. But I heard a rumor, and I read this earlier today. I heard that they were trying to get Harlan into Judgment Day. Edge had his eye on Harlan. Of course, Harlan was in NXT 2.0. They paired him with Joe Gacy, and Harlan has been released from the company. So Joe Gacy is now doing this rip-off Bray Wyatt gimmick. He has druids with him. If you watch NXT 2.0, which I'm like, who is watching NXT 2.0? Who is? NXT 2.0 is Monday Night Raw 2.0. Show is absolutely terrible. Man, don't we miss the good old days of NXT when Triple H was behind it. And it was the black and gold. Those days are long gone because Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, they're now running NXT. Boy, do I want to revisit NXT Black and Gold. So yeah, but Edge had his eye on Harlan to join Judgment Day, but fortunately Harlan got released. So that was who was going to be the fourth member of Judgment Day. But like I said, I would like to see Ciampa be the fourth member. If not, can you imagine if Finn Balor becomes the fourth member of Judgment Day? That would be awesome. So then we had Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ended up making her way out. So she was in the corner of Styles and Balor. Styles and Balor made their way out. And then Los Lotharios came out. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. They did their whole kiss cam thing. And so the match started, which the match itself, it was fine. It was okay. Styles and Humberto started out. Styles ended up quickly taking control of the match and tagged in Balor. Balor delivered a low drop kick, and he ended up having an armbar locked in on Humberto, and Balor tagged back in Styles. Styles ended up ramming Humberto into the turnbuckle. Humberto ended up pulling Styles into the second turnbuckle, started stomping away on him in the corner. Humberto tagged in Angel, and both Humberto and Angel double teamed on Styles with some forearms. Angel then locked in the abdominal stretch on Styles. So Humberto came back in. Humberto delivered some chops on Styles, tagged in Angel, and they ended up trying a double backdrop suplex, but Styles ended up escaping and tagged in Balor. So Styles and Balor, they both end up hitting planches over the top rope out to the floor to Angel and Humberto. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Humberto had Styles in a half Boston Crab. Angel tagged in, ended up delivering a kick to Styles. So both Humberto and Angel locked on a double Boston Crab on Styles. So Angel ended up relinquishing the hold, tagged in Humberto. Styles ended up kicking him away and landed another kick to Humberto's head. So we had later on, Humberto ended up going for a moonsault. He ended up catching 2 boots to the face from Balor. Balor ended up hitting his shotgun dropkick, and he went up to the top. Styles hit the phenomenal forearm on Angel Garza as Balor hit the coup de grace on Humberto. And there you go. Styles and Balor ended up winning the match. Post-match, Styles and Balor invited Liv Morgan into the ring, and she ended up joining in a 2-sweet from them. So that was that. Overall, match was okay. And then we had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up welcoming the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable, and Otis, and they ended up bringing an envelope with the DNA test results on Ezekiel. They ended up bringing that envelope with the DNA test results. They went to Maury, and Maury ended up handing them those test results, those DNA test results. So Kevin Owens ended up wasting no time. He ended up ripping the test results open. Kevin Owens ended up reading that the results were contaminated by barbecue sauce on the sample. So Kevin Owens and Chad Gable are clearly thinking Otis is responsible for that. So Chad Gable ended up thinking that the chain of custody on the test samples was broken. So they were arguing whose fault it was. Chad Gable ended up saying that he'll expose Ezekiel as a fraud next week. But first, he'll beat the truth out of him tonight. So pretty much that was that. But this was stupid. This was absolutely stupid. And of course, always Chad Gable being lame, as always, with shush and oh, thank you. More like lame, please, and a lame-o. If this was Rocket Power and Chad Gable was featured as a character in that show, we would have Otto, Reggie, Sam, aka Squid, and Twister saying to Chad Gable, lame-o. That's what Chad Gable is whenever he says, shush, a thank you. Makes him so uncool. He's good in the ring, but he has to stop saying shush and a thank you. It makes him so fucking lame and uncool. So then we had Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss ended up coming out, and once again, she had a match with Sonya Deville, which we saw last week. And Alexa Bliss, she got new theme music tonight. And I gotta say, that theme music was terrible. Alexa's new theme music is absolutely terrible. So, nothing different than what we saw last week. Sonya Deville was aggressive on Alexa Bliss. She backed Bliss into the corner. Bliss ended up slapping Sonya Deville in the face, ducked the clothesline, and she ended up hitting a drop kick. Bliss ended up dropping a double knee on Deville. Deville ended up rolling Bliss up for a 2 count. So Bliss ended up fighting back to her feet. She elbowed out of Deville in a chin lock. So Deville ended up removing the top turnbuckle pad. She slammed Bliss down with a spine buster as the referee was repairing the exposed turnbuckle. So Bliss ended up kicking out of 2. So Bliss ended up turning it around, and she ended up hitting the DDT on Sonya Deville. So there you go. Alexa Bliss, once again, wins the match. Post-match, Sonya Deville argued with the referee. She slapped the referee in the face and left the ring. And they end up mentioning on commentary, since Sonya Deville is no longer a WWE official, consequences will be put for Sonya Deville for slapping the referee. Because she slapped a WWE official. Overall, nothing new in this match than what we saw last week. And then we had Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came out. He was in the ring. He had a mic in hand. Cody ended up saying that he's been told Seth Rollins is not here. Cody ended up saying that he doesn't get what Rollins is upset about, since he's beating him fair and square. Cody ended up recounting Rollins' arrival on the main roster as part of the Shield, and says he won his way to the top. Cody ended up saying that his story is different. He ended up saying that he didn't win much until recently. He ended up saying that he painted his face and felt dead inside. Of course, he was talking about him being Stardust. Yeah, you all remember Stardust? When Cody was Stardust? Ugh. Do I not want to relive that? But Cody ended up saying that he felt dead inside, but he endured. Cody ended up saying that you learn more from losing. He ended up saying that the most important thing he learned is that he's never going to be the American dream. So why not embrace the nightmare? So Cody ended up talking about his second chance in the company, and ended up saying that if Rollins tries to deny him, that will have to kill him. So Cody ended up saying that he'll even give Rollins the chance. So Cody ended up challenging Rollins to a match inside Hell in a Cell. So then Rollins ended up appearing on the screen, laughing. He ended up saying that Cody stole his spotlight at WrestleMania and cheated to beat him at WrestleMania Backlash. Rollins ended up saying that anyone who's ever stepped inside Hell in a Cell with him has been changed forever. Rollins ended up saying that he'll expose Cody as a fraud. So Rollins ended up accepting Cody's challenge. And so Cody ended up saying to Rollins, "I'll see you in hell." So that was that. We're getting Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at Hell in a Cell inside Hell in a Cell. So hopefully that will be the last match between Cody and Rollins. But Cody and Rollins having another match. Only this time it's going to be in Hell in a Cell. Should be a good match. And then we went backstage. Asuka was there. Asuka ended up saying that Becky Lynch cries like a big baby. And that tonight she'll give Becky a reason to cry. So that was what Asuka had to say. And then Corey Graves ended up plugging Asuka versus Becky Lynch. And he ended up repeating that Sasha and Naomi walked out and summarily and unprofessionally left the arena. So Corey Graves said that on commentary, had Vince McMahon in his ear, and Vince probably told Corey Graves to say that live. And then we had the Alpha Academy, Otis and Chad Gable. They came out, and then Kevin Owens came out, which, by the way, Kevin Owens was wearing a Sami Zayn Forever t-shirt, which was cool. So then we had Ezekiel versus Chad Gable. And the only thing good of this match was Kevin Owens being on commentary. This match was boring, in my opinion. Kevin Owens on commentary was the only good thing going in this match. So before the match got underway, there was a picture shown of Ezekiel and Elias together, which you could tell that it was photoshopped. This whole thing with Kevin Owens saying, "Oh, Ezekiel is Elias." We all know Ezekiel is Elias. WWE just made him trim off the beard and cut his hair. And Ezekiel looking like Stu Pickles, the live-action version of Stu Pickles from the Rugrats. That's who he looks like. Minus the purple hair that Stu has in the show on Rugrats. So Kevin Owens on commentary, he ended up saying that the picture was doctored. And Kevin Owens ended up saying that he once met Elias's parents, and they never mentioned that they had another kid. So the match got on the way. Chad Gable ended up missing the clothesline. Ezekiel ended up taking him down with a shoulder tackle. Chad Gable ended up grabbing an armbar on Ezekiel, but Ezekiel reversed it into a headlock, started grounding Chad Gable. Gable ended up pushing off Ezekiel to escape momentarily, and Ezekiel ended up grabbing a chin lock to ground Chad Gable. Gable powered out of the chin lock and delivered a suplex to Ezekiel. He ended up going for the cover. Ezekiel kicked out at 2. Ezekiel ended up reversing Chad Gable into a gory special, to which Gable slipped out and ended up going for a sunset flip. But Ezekiel reversed it, rolled to the outside. He ended up slamming Chad Gable down on the ring apron. Otis ended up running over Ezekiel while the referee had his back turned. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Chad Gable was in control, and he was working on Ezekiel's arm. Chad Gable ended up hitting a Northern Light suplex on Ezekiel, and Ezekiel kicked out 2. So, at the end of the match, Ezekiel ended up hitting the run and splash to the corner on Chad Gable. Ezekiel knocked Otis off the corner. Chad Gable tried for a roll-up. Ezekiel reversed it and got a roll-up of his own. And so Ezekiel ended up winning the match. Post-match, Kevin Owens and Otis quickly ran into the ring, and Ezekiel ended up getting right out of there. And that was that. Overall, the match was boring. The only good thing of this match was Kevin Owens on commentary. Then we had Tamina and RTruth walking down the hallway backstage. 24/7 garbage. So they were looking for Akira Tozawa. RTruth ended up dropping divorce papers into a trash can because he was like, "Oh, you gotta know where Tozawa is." So Truth opened up the trash can, threw in the divorce papers. Tozawa emerged from the trash can, and he was shocked to be reading the divorce papers. And Tozawa was like, "Oh, no, no." So him and Tamina end up running off. Dana Brooke came there, and of course, she's the 24/7 champion. So RTruth clearly had eyes on the championship. Dana Brooke ended up pushing down RTruth. She ended up running away. Dana Brooke nearly ran into Carmella. So Carmella ended up saying that Dana Brooke is a sorry excuse for a wife. So Dana Brooke ended up saying to Carmella, "Oh, the last time you were relevant was when the chinless guy worked here." Of course, she was referring to James Ellsworth. And we had RTruth end up running into Carmella. And RTruth was like, "Oh, you're back." So Carmella ended up saying that she'll help RTruth get back to 24/7 championship. And then she'll get her hands on Dana Brooke. So looks like Carmella's going to be chasing after the 24/7 title. This sucks. This whole shit sucks with the 24/7 garbage. So then we had Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans was in the ring. Lacey Evans is now on Monday Night Raw after we had those 5-part Lacey Evans things on SmackDown, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to be the next SmackDown Women's Champion." And then WWE decided to move her to Monday Night Raw. So Lacey Evans ended up saying that she respects everyone in the armed forces. So Lacey Evans wanted everyone in the building to stand up and give them a round of applause, to which the crowd did. Lacey Evans ended up saying that she's grateful for the warm welcome she received, which she got no reaction. It was all piped in crowd noise, what WWE does. WWE still thinks we're in the Thunderdome era. So Lacey Evans ended up saying that she wants to show everyone that they have the strength to break the cycle. She ended up saying that she may not be better than anyone else in the locker room, but they're not better than her. So pretty much that was basically what Lacey Evans had to say. And after that, Riddle was backstage. Riddle was strolling through a foggy room. He ended up vowing RK Bro will get the win on SmackDown this Friday. So then we went to the Usos. And the Usos ended up hyping up the winner-take-all unification match that we're going to be seeing Friday on SmackDown, which is going to be a fuck finish. And we're going to get the match again at Hell in a Cell. Hopefully probably inside of Hell in a Cell. So you could tell that the 24/7 shit and the Lacey Evans segment there, and Riddle strolling through the foggy room, and the Usos, hyping up the match of Friday. You could tell that time there was for the 6-pack challenge, because since Sasha and Naomi walked off, they had to rewrite the show here because of that. So they had to scramble and put something, for time. Main event: Becky Lynch versus Asuka. The winner gets to be the number 1 contender to face Bianca Belair for the Royal Women's Championship at Hell in a Cell. So we had Bianca Belair end up coming out. Bianca Belair was sitting next to the commentary table for the match. So we had Asuka starting off the match. She ended up barely missing a spinning back fist to Becky Lynch, to which Asuka ended up falling to the outside. Becky ended up trying to go for a baseball slide drop kick. Asuka blocked it and beat up on Becky Lynch. Becky ended up retaking control of the match on the floor, delivered a suplex to Asuka into the barricade. Asuka ended up grabbing a backslide for a 2 count because Becky kicked out. Asuka delivered a kick to Becky's head, and both of them were down. Becky and Asuka started trading strikes as they both get back to their feet. Asuka ended up hitting a running hip attack in the corner and hit a knee to Becky's chin and a German suplex. Asuka went and covered Becky Lynch, to which Becky kicked out too. Asuka ended up looking to go for the Asuka lock. Becky reversed it into a roll-up. Becky ended up trying for the manhandle slam. Asuka reversed that. And so Becky ended up getting Asuka tied up in the ropes. And she ended up missing a leg drop from the second rope. And Asuka covered Becky, to which Becky ended up kicking out too. Becky tried to go for the disarmer. Asuka reversed it into a roll-up. Becky ended up trying a roll-up of her own, but Asuka kicked out and grabbed Becky in the Asuka lock. So Becky rolled backwards for a pin attempt to break up the Asuka lock. Becky ended up going up to the top rope, and she missed Asuka. Asuka grabbed a jumping armbar in the middle of the ring, to which Becky ended up managing to roll to the ropes to break up the armbar. So at the end of the match, we had Becky Lynch end up rolling Asuka back into the ring, and Bianca ended up jumping up on the ring apron. Becky ended up grabbing Asuka's umbrella because it looked like she was going to hit Asuka with it. Asuka ended up spitting out green mist in Becky's face. The referee was distracted, getting Bianca Belair down off the ring apron. Then Asuka ended up covering Becky Lynch. And there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match. So now Asuka is the number one contender to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at Hell in a Cell. So that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, the match was just very meh, in my opinion. Monday Night Raw, abysmal show tonight. Absolutely awful. The big news, Sasha and Naomi walking out of Raw tonight because of creative differences. So, but overall, Monday Night Raw, abysmal. Absolutely awful show. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, which will be the Dynamite review. So, see you all for Dynamite on Wednesday.